so happy we alive.
Get to it just a second, but you know, I followed him, and so when in 1977, I couldn't figure out why they were talking about decriminalization. I mean, I come from an agricultural state. I do now see why they did, but you know, I came from an agricultural state where hemp would make a great deal of difference to the small, poor farmer. And so I always looked at it in terms of economic benefit, and I always thought that it could be sold in terms of economic benefit, coincidental with being sold as a relief of pain and suffering on a humanitarian basis. I saw it as a two-pronged approach, you know, and I thought normal was forfeiting a tremendous economic argument about what it could mean to our farmers. So I approached it from the economic standpoint. I wrote a plan in 1977 called the Model Plan for Legal Marijuana in Kentucky and other states. And so what I did was I sat down and I wrote a plan that, based on the premise that the government's come to me and says, okay, Galbraith, we're going to do it. Who gets what and why? And so I sat down, I did it, I synthesized the elements of the alcohol and tobacco production and marketing industries, and had allotment basis, central warehouses, permits, licenses, and put the state in as a middleman because we wanted to tax it and get some tax to help our schools and help our health system. And at the same time, we wanted to keep large corporations out of it. We didn't want billboards or golden arches or Friday night sales or clearance sales, you know. It was just people, adults who wanted to buy it, could go someplace and buy it from a licensed adult in their neighborhood. They couldn't sell any other drugs or anything. So it was along those kinds of real naive kinds of lines, you know, but a real community-based, you know, a very local, you know, very community-oriented kind of approach to it. So I took that up to normal and I said, hey, look here, you know, let's do this. This was when I was talking about having met Jack Aaron. The response was definitely thud. They didn't want anything to do with me. They didn't want Keith wouldn't shake my hands. Hunter Thompson was a real ass. You know, a couple of their attorneys were real asses. So, you know, I was highly offended. And I went up there with the greatest intention. So that created a rift that lasted for several years. Later, Keith and I reconciled, and you know, and I still consider him to be a hero of this generation. You know, and there's no telling the kinds of pressures that he was under to, you know, from various people. But they didn't. That was kind of a closed system for a long time. You know, there was some people who had some turf, and they fought very hard to keep that turf. They didn't want any outsiders in. Didn't want to share any power. And over time, that grew moss. You know, Normal was just simply an icon, and the membership was down, the volunteerism was down, it was being run by a very small group of overworked and hyperextended people. And Keith left, and then in the mid-90s, lots of us got together and said, look, you know, this is going nowhere. We need to resurgence in the effort. So I was asked if I would join the board of directors, and said that I would. And a couple of other new directors came on, and we engineered a transfer of power in internal Normal from the old line folks who had done a great swell job, you know, but had gotten just kind of frozen in time. And we engineered a transfer of power internally over to a new board of directors. Is the core of the new board of directors that included Carl Sagan's widow, you know, and some scientists with some credentials and some people who could add some real mainstream firepower to the effort. And so now that board is constituted amongst folks who are making some headway in the scientific aspect of it, to folks who understand the process from the very top and know how the federal system works. And I trust it's in good hands, but my greatest hope is, of course, I'm a conservative politician, and I am an advocate of states' rights. And even though that concept's been misused in some segregationist kinds of materials in the mid-50s, the concept of states' rights, where people can exercise referendum vote in various states and bring about changes within their own state, no matter what the federal folks would like to have, domain over, and the fact that there have been states that held the question of medical marijuana as a referendum, and it's passed 60-40. Why I believe that modern day now, normal is as effective now as it's ever been. It could be even more effective, and will be more effective as the policy change actually comes.
Well, it's my understanding that at the current time there's not a normal chapter in the state of Kentucky.
Well, there have been various ones on campus, and I've acted as a sponsor of various ones on campus, but they kind of like pop-up thunderstorms. They kind of appear on screen for a while, and then that particular student moves out, or the group of students breaks up, and but in some ways I've preempted that by my presence there. In some ways I've preempted the whole the whole question and personified it in the state of Kentucky.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of an irony there.
Well,
do you want to see a normal thing come together in Kentucky?
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. I mean, that wouldn't be bad. But lots of people want to get around and get together and feel good kind of thing. Sit around and mentally masturbate about what we're going to get accomplished by getting together, sit around and feel good. But then I've seen those pop up, and I've seen them go up there and say, we're going to lobby the legislature and go up there and just hurt the system more than help it. Going up there, have improper information, and but here's the deal. I don't care. I don't have to be the one who scores a winning touchdown. I just want to be on a winning team. But I've always thought that if I could get to be governor, when I set out in 71, and go to college, become an attorney, become governor, and change the marijuana laws, it was in that order, because in the state of Kentucky, the governor at that time was the strong man. I mean, if you could get to be governor, you could do it. And to me, it was like running through the middle of the line. If I could just break that barrier and become governor, I could do it because of the strong man character of the executive office in the state of Kentucky. And I could do it as a Democrat, because Democrats have won 17 out of the last 18 races for governor in the state of Kentucky. So that was the goal, to go ahead and get governor to bring about these laws. I don't have to hold office for esteem purposes. I mean, I'm already afflicted with too much of myself. I don't have to hold the office for the ego purposes. But for the practical purpose of getting it done in a shorthand manner, that was the perfect way to do it. I just couldn't win the Democratic nomination for governor. The party froze me out.
Or you haven't yet. Do you feel like the Democratic Party is alien to? It's kind of funny. I mean, at the national level, they certainly, Clinton's had more people arrested than anyone.
Oh yeah, sure he has. Sure he has. It's one thing I can't take is hypocrisy.
Spun on right on out of control.
One thing I can't take is hypocrisy. Bill's so right with it, Well, on the federal level, the Chemical Manufacturers Association just carries a hell of a lot of weight. They're the ones, the pharmaceutical monopolies, for instance. These guys are Nazis. These guys, if you had invested in pharmaceutical sector stock in the last 25 years, your average return would be over 20% per annum. The only other sector anywhere near close to that's technology at 12% or less. And the reason being is because the pharmaceutical companies have regulations and government-given monopolies in this production and supply of medicine in this country. Here's the kind of favorite treatment they get. In 1989, George Bush engineered a change in regulation that said, for every pharmaceutical company that relocates in Puerto Rico, for every employee they have, they'll get a $40,000 a year tax break off of their U.S. income tax.